Welcome to the spring recreational 2025 season. And yes, we are definitely in the spring. 75 degrees yesterday, solid 40 degrees today, and rain. So springtime in Grand Junction. For those who I don't know and who I will probably meet at some point, my name is Ryan Ayrton. I'm the general manager here at Grand Junction Soccer Club. I also coach within the club too, so I've seen many of those faces. Also on this call, who's in the background, who will be answering questions as you guys have them, is Nick Gumpert. And Nick is he's kind of our liaison through social media. So you see those posts pop up. He does some back room stuff for us. So he's the other one on this call. The other two people who are not here, who will be more of the faces at Canyon View for you guys throughout the season, is Bree Gumpert, so Nick's wife. So she's going to be the one that heads the main tent pod at Canyon View. She's one of the greatest resources during those weekend games. And then the other one, who most of you will know because he's been here forever, is Jerry Becerra. He is generally on the golf cart, kind of a jack of all trades, but been around long enough. So that's kind of the recreational staff outside of our office staff, which you guys communicate with regularly. So we're into the new era, so the play metrics era. So I know people hate it when we make changes, but this was a change we felt like was pretty necessary. So at the state level, this is the platform that we've moved to. So we figured we would give this a shot. And so far we've liked the streamlined technology of this. So I'll say to all coaches now, if you haven't already downloaded this Play Metrics app on your phone, please do it. This is going to be your one-stop shop for all of the information you're going to need for now until into the future. I would also recommend making sure that your parents on your team are also downloading this app. To use it on the browser is fine, but the accessibility from our end to you guys, we have a lot more ability to transmit all of our information to you guys. So what you're going to see on that app is you're going to see your schedules, which are already there. You have the ability as coaches, once you download that and you've passed all your requirements, you can put your practices in. And then you have the communication part of that too. There's a chat feature. And we had some glitches earlier on with some teams that had multiple teams, but we've seemed to have figured that out. So you have the chat feature too. So hopefully you guys are getting in and exploring that and you're starting to like that. We definitely encourage you guys to kind of give us some feedback on this side of things, because you're going to be our eyes and ears and you're going to be able to use this a lot more than even our competitive staff is at this point. So we definitely encourage you guys to give us any feedback or things that you're missing. Make sure when you're in that communication with your parents that they turn on their notifications. So the nice thing about the app when you have it is if someone's trying to communicate with you, send messages, update schedules, update training sessions, it will alert you if you have those notifications turned on so that you don't miss anything on the side. We'll continue to send messages from the club side of things through the message feature within Play Metrics. But the reality is we want you guys to be able to communicate with your teams once you've gone through those things. And if you need something on the side, we're more than happy to step in, and we can always jump into those conversations within the team chat app. So Play Metrics, welcome. Simply download the app, and that's going to be the start from there. If you guys have questions about any part of what we're talking about as we go through this conversation, please feel free to shoot something in the chat. Nick's on the backside, so he can stop me at any point and we can answer questions as we need to. So just remember, guys, this recreational program, it relies heavily on you as volunteers. So we definitely appreciate all the time and effort that you guys put into this. Without you guys, this program probably doesn't happen. So really, these kids are around because they want to play. They want to have fun with their friends. And the word fun is going to float around a ton. Make everything as fun as possible for these kids. It doesn't need to be the best run training session from a Barcelona kid or a Liverpool side of things. Whatever's fun for them keeps them coming back. So if it's the same game every day for 20 minutes, if that keeps them coming back, keep doing it. We want to grow these kids' passion. We want to grow them into the game. We want to build basic technical skills and just enjoy being around. And that's what you guys are there to do. The more we get these kids to come back, the better. We're growing this program. We're up about 1,100 kids this year. So we keep growing every year over year. And that's probably because of you guys. So we definitely want to make sure we continue to do that. As you guys know, this is the mandatory side of this unfortunate part of coaching in the rec world. And there's nothing to do with you guys, and there's no way to get around it. But the background check, the safe sport training protocols, and now the concussion as well, which is all now umbrella under safe soccer. Unfortunately, every single person has to go through this. It's a state mandate. It's two-sided. It keeps you guys safe in the environment that you're in, as far as making sure that you understand what to look for, how to manage these situations, but it also keeps the kids safe as well. And that's the ultimate part of this. If there was an easier way to do this and there was a more functional way to do this, I certainly would make sure we have that ability to do that, but we don't. So right now, background checks last 2 years. Safe sport and the concussion, once you've done them, they last just a year. So every year you have to turn those over. The nice part about the safe sport now, so the phase 1, is you only have to repeat that. The long part of that, which is the 30-40 minute course, one time every 4 years. So you'll get a refresher course on the back end next year if you're just starting that now. As is the concussion. I know it's a pain in the butt. We have to do it. I have to do it as a coach too. I get it. Sometimes I have to do it twice in a year. For those resources, Mark Ashworth is your best bet for any communication. So as you see on my emails I send out, Matt deals with the boys, Mark Halberg deals with the girls, and then Mark Ashworth is our resource for our coaches. He is the most knowledgeable when it comes to that. So if you have a question, you can send it to me on what that looks like. But realistically, if you're trying to upload a certificate that's not getting in, or you're struggling to get into these platforms to make sure you can get this done in a timely manner, send it to Mark. Mark will be your best resource. I know Nick can speak to this because Nick was a coach in our club, and now he's a parent coaching, but those courses are not fun. Couple things from the website standpoint, and this will go into the app too. So in the club resources tab, we have now put in the field maps, which you can see, and I put in the rules and matrices for every age group in there as well. So you'll see you'll click I believe it's the three lines on the left-hand corner of your app. You'll drop down, there's a club resource tab in there, and then you can select the field map, and you can go in and also see the rules matrix as well. I can give a bit more of a detailed description of what that looks like when I follow up tomorrow via email. So as parents start to ask, what are the fields? What is that? Where do we park? What do we do? All that. All of it is on the app, so you guys can see that.
Ryan,
the website. Go ahead, Nick.
question came in. How do coaches get signed up to take those courses as needed?
So Mark, if you are already on the list to coach, so you've already spoken with Matt and or Mark Halberg, Mark Ashworth will have that information. He has your email. He probably will have already sent you the information to get logged into those accounts. If that's something you don't have already, please reach out to myself and Mark Ashworth ASAP so we can get you moving on those. The website, so our current website, so just like the old GJ Soccer, we've also moved GJ Soccer over to Playmetrics as well. That website has all of the same information as we did previously, but it's not as accessible. So what I mean by that is when we're talking about the club resources, so your field map and your rules matrix, those are still going to be on the club resource side. So if you're on the browser, you have to go to club resources in that left-hand corner. If you're on the app, you also have to do the same thing. The one thing that the app doesn't necessarily have is kind of the breakdown of what each age group should be working on and or the practice and games that go along with this. We've tried to put this in the landing page of the recreational website or the recreational page, but it's been a tricky just because there's a lot of information. So practices for each age group as it kind of breaks down. So U4s and 5s don't necessarily need to have practices for these age groups. You could show up on Thursday and they'll be just fine to play their one game and go home every week. Now, if you're gung ho or the kids are super excited and wanting more, I would still recommend you could do 30 minutes either before or after the game, or you could do it on a separate day and just and kind of teeter it based off of their attention span, which is probably about 20 to 25 minutes anyway. U6 through U8, I generally recommend one for sure practice a week. Limit it to about 45 minutes to an hour. Once again, use that time to kind of justify where their attention spans are at. Earlier in the season, you're probably going to get less. As you get through the season and they're more excited, you might get more and they're asking for more, and that's fine. 2 practices is for those who really want to do that, and maybe you have time to do that. That's perfectly fine. But once again, limit the time. Make sure they're always wanting to get a little bit more. When we get to that U9 age group, all the way up to our middle school, I definitely recommend 2 practices a week, an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. Most of that's because you guys are going to want to work on some other things, more tactical things, positional things, things that are going to goal, and that just takes more time. So keep that in the back pocket for now. Now, as far as your games, something I don't touch on normally, but understand every age group from U4 all the way through middle school, you guys get 7 games. Middle school is slightly different because they have a playoff system within their work, so they get an extra game or 2 based on performances, but everybody gets 7 games. One thing that pops up more often than not in the springtime, which is why we have more of a live conversation and ask questions, is why do we play over spring break? Guys, I'll give you the calendar in total. We don't have the ability to even get to the fields until March. That's just the city of Grand Junction telling us what we can and can't do. We have to operate under their rules. Inside that, we've got a full week of spring break we've got to account for. We've got a tournament, 2 tournaments under Grand Junction Soccer Club's umbrella. We've also got a lacrosse tournament that is kind of out of our control. So you're talking 4 or 5 weekends we don't get to play. So we've got to start games as early as we can get out in the fields, and we've got to play on one end or the other of spring break. I know it's not the most ideal, but the reason we chose the front end is you play on Saturday, those parents still have the ability to enjoy a vacation that lasts 10 days if you want to stretch it that long. So understand that's why we play on spring break. We're trying to squeeze 7 games into a very shortened spring season, and we're trying to work around weather, which is bound to happen at some point. Since we're on that subject of games, game cancellations for the spring, I probably will not allow, or game reschedules, I probably will not allow a ton of game reschedules at the forefront. And the reason I'm not going to do that is I have to leave dates open in the event that weather does hit. So if a Thursday hits and I've got to reschedule all U4 and U5 games, I need dates to put those games into. And 90% of those games have to go into Fridays, because Fridays are the only really available dates I have fields that don't conflict with District 51 and or our competitive teams. In the event that there is a reschedule request, the first person you have to come to will be me. I have to be able to approve that, potentially find dates for you to make that work. And then we have to get the other coach involved. Once we have the other coach involved, then we can agree on a date and to a time. We have to get you assigned referees if you're an age group that needs referees, and then we can go from there. So you can see how much trouble it could be to go to that. I'm not saying we can't reschedule games. I'm saying that I'm going to limit the amount of games I reschedule based on what the circumstance is. Nick, do you have anything to add to this point?
Not to this point, but I'll ask 2 questions that have come up.
Okay.
One, it says U7 seems like it should be 4v4, but this person's U7 team is scheduled to play 3v3. Thoughts?
U7 is 4v4.
Okay.
So one thing you guys will notice, just we're trying to condense fields just because of the usage at Canyon View. So what was C1, C2, and D1, D2, which were 4v4 fields, they are squished into the B fields now. So everything is the Bs. What most people don't know is the B fields and the C fields, like the C1, C2, D1, D2, they're the same size. So Bs they played 3v3, and then those other fields played 4v4. We just push them together. So if you're a U7, you'll play 4v4. U8s will go the bigger field, they'll be 4v4. If you're a U6, you play 3v3. So
Perfect.
within the rules of your age group, just understand that, yes, you'll play different sizes based on the age group.
Okay. And another question came in. Can you have multiple accounts for one child's play metrics for scheduling purposes, or just the account that registered the kid?
So I would recommend one account for the kid because it'll make it easier for streamlining purposes. And the other reason is whoever registers that kid is the only one that's really going to be able to see what the schedules look like, what they're registered for. So if there's two, we typically will merge that kid. Now, if there's split households and dad registers and mom needs to be able to see the schedule, you can add that parent to the account. They don't have access to any of the detailed information that's on the back end. They're just a parent that sits on the account so they can receive information from us if we send stuff. If you have specific questions on that, or there is a sensitivity to what parents can and can't see, I definitely recommend reaching out to me, and then I can get us looped in with some of our admins on the Playmetric side on how to manage that situation so that parents are getting along and they're able to see things at the same time.
Perfect. Another one real quick before we move
Yep.
on. For U8s, do coaches coordinate refs or does the club do that?
You don't have refs, so that's a good question. So U4s, fives, 6, 7, and 8s. Okay, that will be strictly parents or volunteers just inside the game. What you'll find as a coach is sometimes you'll end up just stepping into the game and helping the kids organize themselves or helping them understand what a throw in is or where the goal kick starts or where players need to be based on the build out lines. Sometimes it's really helpful to have older siblings ref the games, go in and just help kids call things as they need to go, and then you guys can be coaches on the sideline. So no, there are not refs at any of those smaller age groups. Definitely something we've considered as we kind of grow and we evolve as the game of soccer goes. But as of right now, those are not refed games.
Okay. That is it for now.
Okay. I know uniforms will probably pop up at some point, so I'll touch that
Yep.
as I finish here.
Perfect.
Big topic of discussion always comes down to field usage and where can we practice, and it's always a question it's tricky to some degree. So Canyon View is a popular spot just because it's central. With Grand Junction High School still building their fields, their facilities are not necessarily done yet, so everybody's clued in on this part. Grand Junction High School, they use all of Canyon View as their home platform. So that's baseball, softball, lacrosse, and soccer. So all their spring sports. And they have a precedence on those fields. And then on top of that, our 21 competitive teams also have a precedence on fields. Why? Because they just pay more than these recreational programs do. So they get the first choice on those fields. So in the scheme of things, when we're looking at Canyon View, we have the south fields and the north fields. The north fields were up by the baseball field. Those are all reserves for Grand Valley lacrosse. So you're welcome to go use those fields, but understand they're all reserved. So if someone is asking you to leave or is they're already permitted for those fields, we're ask you to respect that. Now on the south side, which is where all of our soccer fields are, those fields, all 8 of them are already reserved. So that's 5 for our Fire FC competitive teams, and then the other 3 are for District 51. Once again, I'm not saying you cannot use fields if they're unattended, but understand that there are entities that are already reserved those fields and they pay money for them. So if teams show up and they're ready to practice, they may ask you to leave. Our Fire FC staff coaches have already been informed to be a little bit more strict with this season, just because the goals become quite a sought after thing. The goals at Canyon View, the smaller goals are meant for our Fire FC competitive teams. I get everybody wants to use them, but just please understand that. We have reserved the Kokopelli side, so that's what used to be the free space, which is on the north side of the Gunnison Pavilion. That is open. We've already reserved that. You guys are welcome to use it. It's first come, first serve. The other places that I would highly recommend is reaching out to elementary schools, to some of these middle schools, even the high schools, to see if they have available space. There are a ridiculous amount of small parks in our town. I'm not saying you cannot come to Canyon View, but what I'm going to say is the space is already heavily used, and there is a good chance that the city of Grand Junction is going to start permitting those who don't already have space reserved at Canyon View. If you have a problem with this specific issue, it's a problem that we are discussing and are trying to and continuing to support the city of Grand Junction with, but it's also a situation where you could easily call down and voice your frustrations. I'm not saying you should do that, but I just understand that we're up against the wall too with what we can and can't do. Anything there, Nick, that you want to touch on that I missed?
Not necessarily that you missed, but got a couple questions pertaining to trainings.
Okay.
You've got, sorry, scrolling through here. Is there a way to know which fields are reserved and which ones are not?
So I can be pretty specific. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, every single field is reserved at Canyon View. And that's including the north side. Now on Mondays, we don't have as many of our Fire FC competitive teams that are training, so there is more flexibility there. And then on Friday, none of our Fire FC competitive teams train. So there are no teams out there. So if you were to ask me what days would be the best to be out there, I would say Mondays and Fridays.
Perfect.
Any other questions?
Go on for now, Ryan. We'll hit these.
Okay. Uniforms. Uniforms are there's two ways there are two new ways to do this. So we've included the uniforms in your recreational registration. So when you go through, most of you have already seen this, or you can send this out to your parents. You have the ability to select it. The uniforms have also been added as a specific registration now too. So you have the ability to go in and just purchase a uniform without registering for anything else. Those uniform kits have not changed, but they are going to increase in the fall. So they're 55 for the uniform kits. That comes with the jersey, socks, and shorts. And then the middle school if you just want a jersey for middle school, it's 35. It's just the jersey top. Those jerseys can be picked up at our soccer office. So 2791 Printers Court. We're just behind the two Marriotts on Horizon Drive if you have not been here. The last 2 years, we've held an annual open house. So in the future, that's something to tell parents or for yourselves to understand that that's a great time to come get those jerseys as well if you can't operate within our business hours of 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It just gives you the chance to come in after work. Starting in the fall, so we're working our way through what's left of these jerseys that we do have. We've picked up a jersey sponsor across the club. So what you're going to start to see starting as early as this season is an Alpine Bank logo that'll just be right here on the chest. So those are already in production. Those are coming in. That'll be the next set of jerseys that you guys will see. Something to look out for, and then obviously something to plan for as we move everyone into the Alpine Bank world. Last thing admin wise, just so that we're all on the same page as far as pictures and picture packets. MJ Thomas still does all of our picture work, which you guys are all familiar with if you've been in our club for a few years. So Michelle Sanders she's already gotten with me. We're already ahead of the curve this year in comparison to last year's. So they've got your guys' contact information as coaches, and we've given them the information for the parents, and they should be reaching out soon with dates and times of when these pictures are going to take place at Canyon View. Once again, weather could be a factor. So as we go through that process, they will reach out and do reschedules or move dates as needed. I am not the one that's in charge of these pictures. So what will happen as questions come to me, I will forward you guys along or your parents along to MJ Thomas, and I will allow them to dictate that conversation. And then once those pictures are done, what they do is that for the U4s through U11s, they will bring those out to the fields and you get to come pick them up. Middle school comes to me and I have Jerry deliver those to you guys. So we've definitely streamlined that process, but it's just the ability for the kids to get their pictures taken as a team and as individuals, and you guys can purchase those as needed. We'll finish with this. So the last couple seasons we've introduced Bree, obviously, who's our rec coordinator at the field. You guys will have seen these pods at the field. So they're just tents. So if you're new to the program, we added our volunteer program in. And this volunteer program allowed us to be able to put more resources at Canyon View to assist your guys' needs, whether that be parents needing help finding fields, getting attention if there's a circumstance on the field that we need to clear up, making sure we know how and where to communicate with Fire FC. So they're tents, they have signage, they have volunteers at these. These volunteers have been around our club for some time, or they have kids who are older and they want to donate their time. The other part of this is we introduced community hospitals trainers to our program to further the safety of our club. and they are also out at Candy View on these Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. I certainly encourage the use of these as players get injured. It could be the tiniest little scratch. These guys were out there to help us, and they want to work, and they want to be involved. So I definitely recommend using these resources, both volunteers from our Fire FC community, as well as the community hospital staff that is out there taking their time out of their day to just be involved with our club. And I think that's it. I'll let Nick take over here, and he'll go through just a couple of quick things on his end to kind of explain what his role is and how he can help. Unless you have some questions here, Nick.
No, nothing at this time.
Okay.
So, rolling into resources, because I know coaching can feel like a lonely place sometimes, especially if you've never played this sport. So just know you're not on your own. Know that the club website, gjsoccer.org, is a great resource for you. Obviously, we live in 2025, which there's so many resources literally at your fingertips, being the internet. So just remember, you've got some low-hanging fruit, so to speak, to be able to educate yourself very quickly and relatively easily. And if you're just like, I don't want to take the time to do that, can I just talk to somebody? Pick up the phone and call the soccer office. You've got Ryan as a resource. You've got myself as a resource. My cell phone, I'll drop it in here at the end if you want to call me personally or email me. But again, just know that you don't have to be as isolated as you might feel sometimes, especially when you're working with 5-year-olds and you're just like, I have no clue what I'm doing. Just give me the basics. And I don't want to watch an internet video. It just doesn't do the same. So you have resources there. One thing I also wanted to touch on, because we're in this rec space, Level Up. For those of you that may have heard of this verbiage, unfortunately, it gets misconstrued, I feel like, too often as competition. Level Up is a supplemental program, I think is the best way to put it, that is coordinated by Fire FC staff, i.e. a Ryan, a Mark Hallberg, a Mark Ashworth, a Matt Leach. So you're just going to get different types of coaches leading that program. That, again, it's to supplement what they do with you as rec coaches. It is in no means a competition to say, well, here we go, I already have to do this, and they're trying to take my players. So if you want to do it, great. If you don't want to do it, great. Just know that Level Up is a program that Fire FC offers starting at U5. Again, it doesn't have to be a team. Maybe you're doing your thing, but you got that one player that's eating it up, and there's like, what can we get this one player? Level Up would be perfect. And if your whole team wants to do it, perfect. And just reach out for more details if that's something that may interest you or another coach that you know. I've mentioned the website as a resource for you guys. Know that we as a club have a YouTube channel. I've created playlists specifically for coaches. I've created playlists specifically for players. Yes, it might not pertain perfectly to a 6-year-old. Again, just know these resources are out there for you to look through at your leisure while you're at home, late night or an early morning if you're that morning bird. And just know we have those already in place for you to reference and share and have a starting point. We have them for parents. For those of you that are just like, I need to get control of my parents, what can I share with them? We have those resources for you as a club. You can look us up on our Instagram. We have an Instagram channel. We have a YouTube channel. We got a Facebook page, and we have the website. So all of those are updated on a regular basis. And just want to make sure that you guys, if you don't already know, that those are there for you to share away. What else do we have? Ryan, anything to add regarding resources or Level Up?
Not at this time. So Level Up doesn't operate for the 9-10 Level Up. It doesn't operate in the calendar year like the recreational program does. It operates in the birth year, more like competitive. So our 9-10 Level Up right now is our 2015s and 2016s.
Mm-hmm.
So there is an age limit when we're talking about Level Up as far as the academy side goes. Now, when we're talking about U5s, 6s, and 7-8s, we're still operating within the calendar year.
Yep, good info there. What's the age limit for Level Up? 10 years old. It does not go beyond 10 years old. Ryan, is there any gear for coaches?
For rec coaches?
Yep.
No, but we do have Fire FC swag that's still available for purchase. We haven't put that on the website yet, but we will be bringing that out to the fields, that it will be available for purchase.
Okay. So that's swag specific, but not cones, soccer balls, anything in that world.
Correct. I mean, we do have some equipment that is available. I mean, we've given stuff out in the past, so if you need stuff, by all means, reach out and we can scrounge some stuff together between our staff.
Okay. I see a question here. Level Up is in the winter, correct? No. That is another supplemental program for the kid that's like, I don't want a winter break. I want more, and I want it now, and I want it during the winter months. So Level Up is offered at 9 and 10 only, correct? Not 7/8 and not 5/6 during the winter.
No, during the winter, we offer level up spring or fall, winter, and spring now. So in the winter,
From
it's
U5
U4
to
through
U10.
yeah, so it's U4 through U6 in the winter, then 7, 8, then 9, 10 in the winter.
Okay. Yep. There you go. I think we've got virtually everyone. Guys, if we've missed a question, or if you're just like, I'm not typing it in the chat, reach out to us. Again, we want to be able to get you as educated and informed on an individual level, because that's only going to help you be able to communicate good information for those that you know and those that you speak to. So please reach out to us. I'm going to drop my contact in right now because I'm not on the website like Ryan is. Ryan's very easy to get a hold of.
Brittany, I can see your question in there. Really, you can ask any one of the office staff at this point is pretty well equipped to answer your question as far as how to enter trainings into Playmetrics. The app is probably going to be your best solution to do that. We've opened it up so you can, and I've definitely seen other coaches who have added training sessions in on their own. So if for any of those questions that pop up that are out of the norm, or even if it's just a quick passing question, Matt Leach, Mark Halberg, Mark Ashworth, and myself are going to be your best resource. You can tag all four of us. If it's gender specific, feel free to reach out to Matt or Mark. And if it's just a general question, please feel free to reach out. Sometimes we don't always answer within the hour or even 24 hours. Understand this time of year is very busy for us, and we get inundated with a lot of emails. But understand we'll get back to you as quick as we can. So in the interest of saving everybody some time, we've recorded this, so if there's something you missed or you came in a little late, feel free to go back in and listen in. I will follow up tomorrow with everybody via email just to go over what all of the information we went through, and maybe even go into a little bit more detail with coaches so that you guys have some of that. Definitely appreciate you all. Wish you best luck in the season. Have fun, stay dry, stay warm, and we're excited. So thank you all again.
Thank you. We'll see you on the field.
Thanks, guys.